Game number 41, and it's a big one. It is England taking on New Zealand, and big one because both these teams still haven't guaranteed themselves a place in the semi-final. Of course, New Zealand slightly better placed than England in the points table, but if they were to lose this game, then the hope for them to qualify for the semi-final might just rest on a few other performances of how the other results go by in this Cricket World Cup 2019. You're watching ESPNcricinfo Matchday. I'm in the company of Daniel Vettori. Also, Graeme Swann joins us. Dan, I'll start with you. I mean, it was a great start to this tournament for New Zealand, and since then, they've lost 2 matches. Can they really bounce back? Because they need to if they want to make the semis.
They can, but it is a tough game in England. I think what New Zealand have found is that they've had all their tough games at the back end of the tournament. They got a great run at the start, and they played some really good cricket. And then they came up against Pakistan team who was starting to play well, and then an Australian team who was playing exceptionally well. So look, I think it's going to be a tough ask. But if you look at New Zealand's performances over an extended period of time, they have turned up in these tough games, and it's the usual suspects in the likes of Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor and Trent Boult. So if they can get performances from those key guys again and complementary pieces from the others, then I think they have a good chance of winning.
For starters, they need to get their playing 11 right. So we asked Dan to pick the 11 that he thinks New Zealand should go with in this particular encounter. And I see that you've made one change there. Tim Southee coming in right now. And who have you replaced him with? That would be Ish Sodhi. Yes, the spinner goes out. You had options there. It was Henry as well as Southee. Why have you gone with him?
I think just looking at the Chesterley Street wicket, we saw the game yesterday, a couple of days ago versus West Indies and Sri Lanka, and seen how the seamers were pretty effective on that. The spinners didn't get a lot of turn. There weren't a lot of spinners used in the game. So I think New Zealand will go back to their most experienced bowler in Tim Southee. He will be ready for a big game, albeit that he hasn't played for a while. He's the sort of player who relishes these situations, and I think that combination with him and Boult has been so successful for an extended period of time. What better time than to bring them into this must-win game?
Okay, but one thing that you could really look at is Latham. You know, his form has been, there are question marks over his form. Can you have Nicholls then keep and probably get Munro back in the middle order? We'll take a look at some of the numbers as well. Worst averages for a number 1 to number 7 batsman, a minimum of 5 innings as on 1st July. And Latham, unfortunately, it's a list that he wouldn't want to top with an average there of just 8.2.
Well, I think there's 2 parts to it. I think it's a big ask to ask Henry Nicholls to wicket keep. So then you look at Tom Blundell, who's the reserve wicket keeper, but he hasn't played a one-day international. So to bring him into such a crucial game,
he got 100 in a warm-up game.
100 in a warm-up game. Warm-up games don't count.
Okay.
So I think it would be difficult to ask him to come and do that. Look, I think Tom Latham's another guy who has been exceptional for New Zealand for a long period of time. And whilst the pressure of a World Cup and people wanting to make changes and do something different, he's still our wicketkeeper. He's still a proven middle order batsman, and he's a really important leader within that team. I know Kane relies on him for advice and understanding. The bowlers look to him. So once again, big match. I don't think they'll make a change there.
Okay, you've gone with one change for New Zealand. Let's take a look at Graeme Swann's 11 then. Would you like to see any changes with the English team? Let me take a wild guess. Has he got Moeen Ali in? Yes, he has, but who's he kept out? Jofra Archer. Graeme Swann, he's the best bowler that England has got. Why is it that you decided to take him out of the 11?
Yeah, I've left Jofra Archer out of my starting 11. A big, bold move. I was at Durham the other day. The wicket does turn, and I think Moeen Ali needs to play alongside Adil Rashid. Mark Wood's bowling beautifully. Archer's bowled brilliantly in the World Cup, but give him a rest, get him nice and fresh for the semi-final.
Dan, would you like to thank Graeme Swann there for a suggestion like this? If this was to happen, Jofra Archer out, New Zealand would be rather happy.
They would be. I think Swanee just sits at home and works out what possible ways can he get Moeen Ali in the team. And I'll leave Butler out, I'll leave Morgan out, I'll leave Jason Roy out just so we can get Moeen Ali in the team. And I understand that perspective being a fellow spinner. Okay,
let's quickly now take a look at that one man who's been performing outstandingly for England. Yes, we keep talking about the openers getting run, but it's Ben Stokes that he's playing a very, very crucial role for the English team. And take a look at that. If most opposition teams are trying to figure out any sort of weakness in Ben Stokes, well, there isn't none, because if you take a look at that particular graphic, he is scoring runs against most sort of bowlers, whether right arm pacers, off spinners, leg spinners, orthodox bowlers. He's averaging over 50 against most of them, even 47 versus Chinamen. Looks like, Graeme, he didn't have a great IPL, but was saving up for the World Cup and is getting all his runs now.
Ben Stokes has been simply fantastic for England. He wasn't in great nick in the IPL. I don't think he was saving himself for the World Cup. He tends to take a long time to get into good form, but when he is, he's a brilliant player, and he's playing brilliant cricket for England at the moment, bowling well, but also with the bat, able to glue an innings together when need be, but also when he needs to, he scores quickly. So Ben Stokes is doing really well.
Right, so Ben Stokes is the star for England with the bat there. You've seen Chris Woke pick up a lot of wicket, but the unsung hero has been Plunkett there for England. If you take a look at those middle overs, that's where you need a lot of wickets. In just the 4 innings that he's bowled, he's picked up 6 wickets there, and he's got an average there of 25. Look at that strike rate of 29, better than most other bowlers on that list.
Liam Plunkett, a bit of an unsung hero, absolutely, for England. He's got a brilliant record over the last couple of years of taking wickets in the middle period of the innings, which is gold dust for a captain. His re-inclusion in the squad, I think, led to England playing some brilliant cricket against India. England have got a strong squad at the minute, so it's a good position for them to be in.
Now, talking about bowlers, let's turn our attention now to a Kiwi bowler who's really come into his own. And we're talking about Trent Boult. He didn't have a great start to this World Cup, but then ever since the last few games, he started to pick wickets as well. Would you say, Dan, I'm just taking a look at his phase-wise in Cricket World Cup. He's picking up wickets in all phases. Was a bit unlucky to begin with, was bowling well, but wasn't getting wickets. Now he's getting wickets as well.
I think he's one of those rare bowlers in world cricket who can perform in any phase of the game. And to see him at the top of the order when he swings it and attacks batsmen, he comes back through in the middle stages. Williamson normally uses him to try and take a wicket. He'll go to the short ball, he'll try to reverse swing it. And then at the back end of the innings, he's a lock for New Zealand now. He has to bowl in those times because he does such a good job. And he does such a good job because he's starting to get the ball to reverse. We saw that in the hat-trick he got against Australia where he the Australian lower order couldn't get on top of him because of that reverse. So very rare to have a bowler who can perform in all 3 phases, but New Zealand are fortunate to have him, and that's why he's one of the best bowlers in world cricket.
All right, and finally I want to ask you for your prediction, because you mentioned briefly right at the start of the program when I asked you whether New Zealand can bounce back or not, but I'll go across to Graeme Swann. Graeme, what are you predicting for this game?
My predictions for this match, of course, I'm going for an England win. They're playing with a bit of confidence and verve and vigour again, like they did in the Indian game. So England to win, but I think it'll be a good game. New Zealand, decent opponents.
Graeme Swann, Dan and Vettori, thanks so much for joining us. Building up to game number 41, that will be England versus New Zealand, a must-win game for both teams.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.